Hey guys, it's Lauren from Granite State Yarns. Today I'm here to talk about my favorite knitting patterns that use sock yarn, but they're not socks. Now I love knitting socks as much as the next knitter, but sometimes we have a huge selection of sock yarn that we have accumulated over the years, and maybe we want to do something a little bit different than just socks. So by going through Ravelry, some of my knitting books, asking friends on Instagram, I've come up with a big list of possible patterns that you can knit if you are looking for a project to use up your sock yarn stash. So if that sounds fun to you, stay tuned and let's get into it. All right, so let's start off with some shawl patterns. Shawls are great for sock yarn. There are endless options on Ravelry. There are endless books devoted to 1 skein shawls, 2 skein shawls, 3 skein shawls, scrappy shawls if you have lots of little bits and pieces left over. So I'm going to share some of my most favorite shawl patterns, ones that I've knit, ones that I've been looking at and would love to knit, and hopefully there'll be something here that might inspire you to use your sock yarn for a shawl. All right, the first shawl pattern I'm going to talk about is the Tana shawl, and it happens to be the one that I'm wearing right now. It's available on Ravelry. It is a free download, and it only uses 1 skein of sock yarn. Now this pattern is very easy to knit. It is garter stitch with some eyelet rows. It's a triangular shape, and it is knit from one corner to the long edge on the opposite side. So it doesn't have a big cast on, but it will have a larger cast off. So like I said, it only takes 1 skein. My daughter actually knit this for me for Christmas recently, and she knit this in a sparkle sock base, and it is absolutely beautiful. So like I said, it's just garter stitch with some eyelet rows, so it's super simple, especially if you're a beginner knitter. It is asymmetrical. You can see there's where at the deepest point here, it's actually really not a super big shawl. It is long, but the rows themselves are not super long here. And here would be the other edge. So I love the shawl. There's no front or back to it. I just kind of put it on, wrap it around a couple of times. Super easy, very comfortable, very versatile, easy to wear. So this is a great first project or a beginner project if you have a beautiful skein of yarn. It has such a simple stitch pattern that I don't think you're going to lose any real character in the yarn. So I think you can pretty much use anything that you have in your stash. Next up, we have the Seagull shawl. This pattern is available on Ravelry. It is $8 for the download, and it takes 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn. I knit this out of my own yarn. I dyed this one. It is a 75-25 base, 4-ply yarn, and it is also triangle shaped. And I love this pattern because it has 3 separate sections. The first here is this beautiful lace, followed by a very easy textured pattern, and then this colorwork pattern down below here, which is folding up a little bit. I need to reblock this. It's been a little while, but this is mosaic knitting, and mosaic knitting is actually a very easy form of colorwork. If you've never done it before, you only use 1 color at a time, and by slipping stitches, you're able to get these patterns here. So it's actually really fun and easy to use if you are new to colorwork, but you are a little intimidated by doing like a Fair Isle sort of process. I very much enjoyed this knit. It is beautiful, and I wear this shawl all the time. So I, again, highly recommend this one. If you are using 2 different colors, you may find that you're going to need 2 skeins of the main colorway. You'll run a little bit close if your gauge is maybe a little bit off from the original pattern. I honestly don't remember I think I only used 1 skein of the main colorway, but I did have 2 just in case. So that is a consideration. You also could do different colors for the different sections if you didn't maybe have 2 sock yarns in the same color. And then the other suggestion that I've seen in the pattern is that for this contrast color, it would be great for a gradient if you happen to have any gradient yarn, because then you would see this change go along on this beautiful mosaic section. So definitely do a little bit of stash diving. This is a great, great versatile pattern. Next, we have the Besitos shawl, and this is a beautiful crescent shaped shawl. And it has some garter stitch sections as well as some nice textured sections with these eyelets. And I don't know if you can see on the bottom here, but this beautiful picot cast off. So I knit this shawl a few years ago, and it is done in 2 skeins of fingering weight yarn. You just need 2 contrasting colors. These are yarns that I had bought from Hobby Lobby, and it is absolutely beautiful. This is not, the yarn that I used does not have nylon in it. It's actually 100% wool, but you absolutely could use sock yarn if you wanted to. It is another very beginner-friendly project. Nothing too difficult here. We're talking garter stitch, we're talking some eyelets. The picot edge bind off might be a little bit tricky, but actually is really not too difficult to learn at all, and it really does make an excellent shawl. It is long and warm and wonderful, and because of the crescent shape, it's got a little bit of curl on the end, and I just love the way it twists when you wear it. So I highly recommend this shawl too. This one gets a lot of use. I love the blue colors. I love the speckles. Definitely, definitely try this one out. As for some other patterns that I thought were great that I have not knit yet, but are definitely in my queue for knitting someday, I'm going to start with the Raina shawl. This is a free Ravelry download, which is always great. And this one uses 1 skein of fingering weight yarn. This is another pattern that would be great to use with highly variegated colorways, but would also look really nice in a more simple tonal or a solid. It's also really chill. The gauge is not very important with it. It looks to me like the stitch pattern is not very difficult at all, so this would make it another great, chill, easy pattern to work on. The next shawl that I wanted to talk about is the Stormy Moor shawl, and this is available on Ravelry for $7 Canadian, about $5.25 US. It takes 2 skeins of contrasting sock yarn. This one looks like it has a very similar look to the Seagull shawl here, where there's 3 different sections, and each of those sections look a little bit different. We've got some texture, we have some eyelets, and my very favorite picot edge bind off. Next up, we have a 1 skein crochet project. So this is the Falling Blossoms shawl, and it is crocheted, like I said, and it only uses 1 skein of fingering weight sock yarn. It's got this beautiful lace flower detail and some eyelets, and it looks really, really cute. It has an asymmetrical triangular shape, and it's available on Ravelry for $6.20. Next shawl is the Wintry Mix shawl, and this is a 3 skein pattern. Again, we're using fingering weight yarn, and we have multiple sections with different kinds of knitting. Got some garter stitches, we have eyelets, and the border is actually fingering weight yarn held double. So this looks like a generously sized shawl that would be perfect for those chilly winter days. It is available on Ravelry for $8. Next, for a little bit of brioche, we have the Wrapped in Brioche shawl, which is a free download from Ravelry. The great thing about this pattern, not only because it's free, but also because it's completely customizable as far as size goes. So you can use whatever you have, knit as long as you want. You can add stripes, you can do lots of different colors, you can do 1 color. It looks like a lot of fun, especially if you have not yet gotten into brioche or are hoping to learn how to do some brioche. And did I mention it was free? For another free shawl pattern, we have the Martin Miss shawl. This is a 2 skein project available as a free Ravelry download. And it has some beautiful lace details. Looks like it would be lovely for some variegated colorways, some speckly colorways, or whatever you have in your stash. Next, we have another crochet pattern, and this is Lilacs Forever. This one is crocheted with 1 skein of fingering weight yarn, and it looks light and airy. and really easy to wear and has a beautiful edge detail. This pattern is available on Ravelry for $8. So now I'd like to talk about some other patterns to use sock yarn that aren't socks or shawls. So first, let's talk about hats. Now for hats, of course, we have the Musselburgh hat. We have the sockhead hat. Both of these are well known as being excellent examples of what you can do with one skein of fingering weight yarn. I've actually knit both of these patterns before and I highly recommend them. They make great, mindless, easy, fun knits. The Simple and Sweet Beret pattern is a free Ravelry download, and while it does use DK weight yarn, you could very easily just hold fingering weight yarn double. You're only going to need one skein for this. And this sweet little beret looks like a whole lot of fun to knit. One really intriguing pattern that I found while doing research for this video is the Shamrock collar. And this one is available on Ravelry for $6. It takes one skein of fingering weight yarn. And I think this would be best for a solid, a semi-solid, maybe a lightly variegated tonal. And this sweet little pattern is a collar that is designed to be worn around the neck. It's not quite a shawl, even though we've talked about a lot of shawls today, but it looks like it would make a lovely little addition to dress up an otherwise simple outfit. I have never worn a lace collar like this before, but looking at this pattern, I am absolutely intrigued and would love to give it a try. I love the sweet little I-cord bow that's added here. Although it looks like you also can use a button if you prefer that. But this looks like a nice little accessory to add to your collection. Now the Nordwand mitten pattern definitely caught my eye. This looks like a really interesting construction to make these Fair Isle mittens. It uses 3 different colors of fingering weight yarn. Not very much either, so if you have knit a shawl and you have a little bit of yarn left over, you probably would be able to make these mittens with your leftovers. And finally, my last suggestion is the Lifesavers sweater. It is a cardigan and it is available on Ravelry for $9. I knit this earlier this year. I used the Breaking Yarn Lily of the Valley colorway for this white main color, and then used a whole bunch of minis that I had available. Some of these minis I dyed myself, and a few others are from Yarn Cafe Creations, and it made an absolutely beautiful fingering weight cardigan. It is super comfortable. It is super easy to knit. The stripes are really fun. It is one of my favorite knits to date. I am so proud of this one, and I do wear it a ton already. It's only been finished for a couple of months and I do wear it all the time. So I knit this one with 3/4 length sleeves. I know it looks a little bit silly with these long sleeve, the long sleeve t-shirt underneath, but I do love a cardigan with a 3/4 length sleeve. The pattern itself is for a longer sleeve, but you can always change things however you want. It also is designed to have buttons. I did not include buttons with mine because I am not going to button a cardigan. I love having them open and flowy. So, I believe I used about 2 skeins of the main colorway here. But if you don't have multiples, you could just as easily do bigger stripes with other colors that you might have. So based on whatever size you might need, you're going to need more yarn. But this pattern is so flexible, you could definitely use scraps, you could use full-size skeins, whatever you want to do. So the total yardage, depending on your size, is going to go anywhere from 815 yards to about 2,400 yards. So based on how much yarn you have and what size you want to make, you can definitely use this pattern as the building block to have some real creativity to make a lovely, versatile cardigan. Highly recommend the Lifesavers cardigan. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped to inspire you to find your next knitting project, to use up some of those beautiful sock yarns that you have in your stash, and to get really excited to try out something new. So if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like and subscribe. I'll be back with more videos like this, as well as dyeing videos and podcasts in a future date. So thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you have a lovely day. Thanks so much for watching. Goodbye.